This is my entry for the Princess Power StarSnap. For those of you who might not know, StarSnaps are a DreamSnap-like competition run by Mr. Star and Sky on his website Starlight Dreamers. This week's challenge was to design something based on a Disney princess. I went back and forth on which princess I wanted to do, but ended up deciding on Cinderella, hoping this snap would break the streak of bad luck that my Cinderella-themed snaps have had in the past. So for this design, I decided to do a split shot, one side showing her life with her stepmother, and the other showing her at the ball. Now I really wanted to have light from the window on the ball scene, so I knew I wanted the right side to be the elegant ball. And because I wanted to do two different wallpapers to help separate the sections, I decided to build this snap at an angle. Now I had a really hard time picking the wallpaper for her home life, since she herself didn't have elegant things, but her stepmother and the rest of the house was rather elegant. Not as elegant and fancy as the ball, but still fancy. So I had trouble trying to balance that. So I took a break from wallpapers and added some lights, using the magnificent chandelier from the Founders Pack for the ball and the chandelier for her home. Adding the seaside royal windows to the ball scene, and trying to figure out what windows work best for her home, since her home still had kind of fancy windows, but I wanted it to feel different from the ball, not just slightly different versions of the same thing. None of the windows were feeling right, so I left that for now and switched to looking at the rugs. I liked the red agrabah one for the ball, and thought the embellished green carpet worked best for her home. The toning made it feel a little worn in and older compared to the red one, but not too run down looking, so I thought it worked. I grabbed a bucket, and I wanted a mop, but they didn't have one, so I grabbed a broom, to emphasize the fact that she was treated as the maid. And after looking at some reference pictures for her home, I saw that there was a lot of green and purple, so I decided to look for a purple wallpaper for that side. I debated a bunch, but ended up using the Periwinkle French Castle wallpaper. It seemed fancy, but not too fancy, and the dusty color made it feel slightly older when compared to the palace side. With the wallpaper figured out, back to windows. I did like the Naboo ones, and they did fit, as the house did have large fancy windows, but it felt too fancy and too similar in vibe to the palace ones, so I debated it while I grabbed a bunch of Cinderella-themed items. I was originally planning on designing the foyer for some main part of the house, but as I pulled out items, I was starting to feel like doing her bedroom instead, and since her bedroom is in the attic, the rustic cottage beams kind of fit, so I added a couple, putting one in the center of the foreground area as a divider. Started scooting some items around, got rid of the windows since they didn't fit her room, and tried to figure out the layout I wanted for her room. Since I knew I couldn't get it one-to-one with her room in the movie, I was going for more inspired by than movie accurate. I added some divine marble columns to the ball side, which again, I was going more for vibe than accuracy in design. I liked the fairy tale diamond banner, but wasn't sure exactly where to put it, so I tried it there for now. And I thought the rustic shuttered window worked for her room. And no, I did not notice how it's placed on that wallpaper, and I really, really wish I had. Since this was supposed to be her bedroom, I needed to find a bed, one that wasn't too fancy or too rustic. The pink floral metallic bed kinda worked, for the vibe I wanted. Still trying to figure out where I want everything, but I figured it was time to start adding some mannequins, as I wanted one for the other Cinderella, and one for Prince Charming. Moving the bucket and broom closer, trying to figure out positioning, adding an extra mannequin to put the outfit I was going to have my character wear while I worked on the other outfits. First I did the other Cinderella, then Prince Charming, put my outfit back on, checking how it's looking so far. I liked how the third camera worked better for this shot, since it allows me to center it between the two Cinderellas and get a little closer, though you can barely even see the prince, and what you can see feels too far away, so moving him closer. Shifting the other Cinderella to be a little closer as well, and that side is feeling a little empty, so I thought I would add another mannequin for her stepmother. I also thought it would be fun to have other partygoers at the ball. Designed the stepmother first, then the other guests. I didn't intend on making them Beauty and the Beast themed, but once I grabbed the gold dress, which I thought was the most matching in style to Cinderella's, it just kinda went that way. Now I had wanted to use a pose transition, to try and make it look like she was curtsying. To do that, I used the squirrel pose and the arms down pose. I find that after the first time you switch between poses, there's a slight delay when you switch between them after that. And if you are fast, it gives you half a second more to pause the animation mid-transition. And my character was a little too centered, so I needed to move over and adjust the mannequin. Still too far over, scooting, Little more. That feels better. But I wanted to add a few Remy figures as stand-ins for her mice friends. Dropping a few items I thought would be fun to add. I was going to add that time-bending book, but the table already had it on it, adding some bubbles by the bucket and a pink bow by the two mice. It reminded me of the bow they put on the dress they made for her. Put some candles on the desk, added a few enchanted castle oil lamps, scooted the mannequins a bit. I had really wanted to use those new memory viewers, so I put them down to see if I could get them to work. But they felt too blocking, and couldn't really see them that well from the angle I wanted, so I got rid of them. Then grabbed it again to see if I could use it in the foreground for any interesting effects, which didn't really work for this shot. Checking how it's looking, I was pretty happy with how her home side was feeling, but the ball side was feeling too empty, so time to add some plants. I thought the seaside royal bath plant and royal potted plants fit the scene the best, so I scattered them around. Added a medium pumpkin collection to the foreground, since I thought it felt fitting. Adjusting some plants. Added a hanging one. And I really liked those curtains, so I added them. Looking for anything interesting to add. Not seeing anything else, so fixing the curtain placement. The banner doesn't really fit anywhere, so I moved it aside for now. Adding another carpet, and scooted them to be better centered. Adding some more sparkles. Adjusting the broom. Checking the shot. Looking good, but you can barely see the sparkles, and I wanted the dress to feel magical. So scooting the book and glimmer out of the way, and adding a pedestal to put some sparkles on. I also wanted to add a clock to the ball scene, checking if that's in a good spot. Not bad, but I wanted to scoot it back a little, so I got rid of the oil lamp, and pushed the clock back. Checking in camera mode, and the sparkles are feeling like a bit too much, so scooted it back a little, and added another button to the floor, checking if that helped. The foreground sparkles are still feeling like a bit too much, so I moved the button to the floor, and moved the pedestal over to the I don't know what to do with you, but I'm not ready to get rid of you corner. I added the enchanted stone bench to the front corner, hoping to use some of the subtle sparkles it gives. Checking if that helped, and that's feeling better. I was debating the time of day, since usually daytime or sunset is better, but nighttime just worked better for the shot, and felt fitting since the ball scene was at night. I did really like this setup, but I wanted to see how it would look if I used Eric as a stand-in for the prince. So once I got him, I pushed him over, moved the mannequin out of the way, and pushed Eric into its place. I then used Touch of Magic trophies to block him in, that I would hide when I was going to take the shot. Used selfie mode to turn him around, then remembered I forgot to stop hanging out with him. Back into camera mode. Looking good, but I forgot to hide the Touch of Magic. And it's feeling a little dark in the foreground, so adding a chandelier. Checking if that's better. Now it's feeling a bit too bright with the glow on the mannequin's hair. Scooting it back a bit. Checking again. Better, but still a bit too bright. Scooting it back more. Seeing if that helped. That's feeling better, but I want to scoot the mannequins in the back a little bit. Adding some more sparkles to the foreground. Checking how that looks. Maybe a bit too much sparkles now, and I want to try to move the other Cinderella closer. Moving the sparkles, trying to move the mannequin, but the other sparkles were in the way. And accidentally clicked on glider pose instead of critter pose. And when you are in third camera mode, and go into the glider animation, your character will then turn to look at a nearby villager. And I don't mind if my character looks at Eric. It's a subtle change, but still nice. So I leave it. And accidentally hid my character instead of the Touch of Magic. The light halo on my character was starting to bother me. Adjusting the other Cinderella's placement, and scooting the oil lamp. Checking if that's better. Madigan's feeling a bit more even, but the light by my character is still bothering me. Adding another one to frame the other Cinderella to see if that helps. Checking how that looks. You can't even see the other oil lamp, and I'm still not feeling the one behind my character. So I get rid of the other one, and scooting the one behind my character. That feels better. I don't mind the slight glow. I just didn't like it looking like her hair was on fire. Now to wait for him to bow. And I was happy with that shot, until I remembered I had been planning on putting a bandana on the mannequin Cinderella, since she has one in the movie. Back to waiting for him to bow. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And for those who might be wondering, this snap did break the streak of bad luck that I've had with Cinderella-themed snaps, and got rank 36. If you're curious, this snap took about 3 hours to do. I'll leave a link to the site in the description in case you want to check it out, or join me for the next challenge. Thank you for watching the video. Please like it if you found it at all helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more like this.